Hello everyone, today we are going to learn Chapter 2 Reshaping India's Political Map Part 3 from your Social Science textbook. In this video, I'll be covering each and every line from the chapter so you don't miss anything important. Make sure to keep your notebook and pen ready and take notes while watching. This will help you remember the concepts better. You can pause or rewind any time to write things down. So, let's begin. In the previous part, we saw how India's political map kept changing. We learned about powerful regional kingdoms like the Vijayanagara Empire, the Bahmani Sultanate, and also how the Delhi Sultanate gradually became weaker. But history didn't stop there. As the Delhi Sultanate lost its strength, a new ruler from Central Asia saw this as an opportunity to enter India. Who was this ruler? How did he defeat the last Sultan of Delhi? And how did the mighty Mughal Empire begin? Let's find out in this part. The Mughals. While the Delhi Sultanate weakened, Babur, a Turkic Mongol ruler and military strategist who having been thrown out of Samarkand, modern-day Uzbekistan, turned his sights to India. A descendant of Timur, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi at Panipat in 1526, which will later be called the First Battle of Panipat. It relied heavily on gunpowder, field artillery, and matchlock guns, which had recently been introduced in warfare in India. That defeat put a final end to the Delhi Sultanate and laid the foundation of the Mughal Empire as Babur assumed control of the Delhi throne. So, in the previous video, we learned that the Delhi Sultanate had become weak because of many internal problems. Now, when a kingdom becomes weak, what usually happens? Other rulers see it as a chance to capture that kingdom. That's exactly what happened here. Now, a new ruler named Babur entered the story. Babur was a Turkic Mongol ruler and a brilliant military strategist. A military strategist means someone who carefully plans and leads battles to defeat the enemy. Originally, Babur ruled Samarkand, which is in present-day Uzbekistan. But he lost Samarkand and was forced to leave it. Instead of giving up, Babur looked for another place where he could build a powerful empire. So he turned his attention towards India. Babur was also a descendant of Timur, the famous Central Asian conqueror. This means Timur was one of Babur's ancestors. In 1526, Babur fought against Ibrahim Lodi, the last ruler of the Delhi Sultanate at Panipat. This battle is known as the First Battle of Panipat. Babur's army had a big advantage. He used gunpowder, field artillery and matchlock guns. Now what are these? Let's understand these terms. Gunpowder is the explosive substance used to fire weapons. Field artillery means large cannons that could be moved around the battlefield. Matchlock guns were early guns fired using a burning match, slow burning fuse, and these weapons had only recently been introduced into warfare in India. So they gave Babur a major advantage. Because of these modern weapons and Babur's excellent battle strategy, Ibrahim Lodi was defeated. This defeat was very important because it brought the Delhi Sultanate to a final end. After winning the battle, Babur took control of the throne of Delhi. This victory also laid the foundation of the Mughal Empire, which would become one of the most powerful empires in Indian history. Babur and India. Babur left a candid autobiography of great historical value, Baburnama, Babur's Memoirs. In it, he comes out as cultured and intellectually curious with a keen appreciation for architecture, poetry, animals, that is birds in particular, many of which he lists in some detail, and flora, that is fruit trees especially. But he was also a brutal and ruthless conqueror, slaughtering entire population of cities, enslaving women and children, and taking pride in erecting towers of skulls made from the slaughtered people of plundered cities. So, after becoming the ruler of India, Babur wrote an autobiography called the Baburnama, which means Babur's Memoirs. An autobiography is a book in which a person writes about his own life and experiences. The Baburnama is considered very valuable for historians because it gives first-hand information about Babur's life, his campaigns, and the places he visited. Now, what kind of person was Babur? The Baburnama shows that Babur had two very different sides to his personality. On one hand, he was cultured and intellectually curious. This means he loved learning and appreciated many things around him. For example, he admired beautiful buildings and architecture. He also enjoyed poetry. He had a great interest in nature, especially birds, which he described in detail in his book. He also wrote about many plants and fruit trees that he saw. So, Babur was not just a warrior, he was also someone who observed and wrote about art, literature, animals, and nature. But there was also another side to Babur. He was also a brutal and ruthless conqueror. A ruthless conqueror is someone who shows no mercy towards the people he defeats. Whenever Babur captured some cities, he sometimes ordered the massacre of entire populations. Many women and children were taken as slaves. And Babur even took pride in building towers of skulls. These were towers made using the skulls of people who had been killed after cities were plundered. This shows how cruel warfare could be during that time. Babur was nostalgic about Central Asia and found India to be a country of few charms. At the same time, he acknowledged Hindustan is a large country and has masses of gold and silver. Through the rainy season, the air is remarkably fine, not to be surpassed for healthiness and charm. There are countless artisans and workmen of every sort in Hindustan. Perhaps for the last reasons, especially India's wealth, he decided to stay and build his empire in India rather than return to Central Asia. So, even though Babur conquered India, he did not immediately fall in love with the country because Babur had spent most of his life in Central Asia. That was his homeland and he missed it very much. And he was nostalgic about Central Asia. Nostalgic means missing your home or the place where you grew up. So, when Babur first came to India, he described it as a country of few charms. In simple words, he felt that India was not as beautiful or attractive as Central Asia. But did Babur dislike everything about India? No. As he spent more time here, he also noticed many good things about the country. In the Baburnama, Babur wrote that India was a large country with huge amounts of gold and silver. This shows that India was very wealthy. He also praised India's climate during the rainy season. He wrote that the air was fresh, healthy, and very pleasant. Another thing that impressed Babur was India's skilled people. He noticed that there were countless artisans and workmen across the country. An artisan is a skilled person who makes things by hand, such as jewelry, pottery, clothes, woodwork, or metalwork. So, although Babur missed Central Asia, he realized that India was rich, had skilled craftsmen, and offered many opportunities. So, perhaps because of India's great wealth, Babur decided not to return to Central Asia. Instead, he stayed in India and began building the Mughal Empire. Figure 2.15, the Battle of Panipat as depicted in a copy of the Baburnama. Note the use of cannons. So, this is a painting of the first Battle of Panipat from the Baburnama, which is the autobiography of Babur. You can see large cannons placed on the battlefield. These cannons are an example of field artillery. At that time, such powerful gunpowder weapons were still new in India. Babur used them very effectively during the battle. You can also see soldiers fighting on horses carrying swords, spears and shields, and this shows that the battle was fought using both traditional weapons and new gunpowder technology. Because Babur had better military planning and modern weapons like cannons and matchlock guns, his army gained a big advantage over Ibrahim Lodi's army. Think about it. What strikes you in Babur's impressions of India? Discuss in groups. So, if we read Babur's writings carefully, we notice something very interesting. On one hand, Babur didn't find India very attractive at first. He missed his homeland, Central Asia, and even called India a country of few charms. But on the other hand, he also admired many things about India. He praised its great wealth, the pleasant rainy season climate, and the large number of skilled artisans and craftsmen. So, Babur's opinion about India was mixed. He criticized some things, but he also appreciated many positive features of the country. Now, think and discuss with your friends. Why do you think Babur first disliked India and what made him finally decide to stay here instead of returning to Central Asia? After Babur's death in 1530, his son Humayun struggled to hold the empire together. Taking advantage of this, Sher Suri, a powerful Afghan leader, established the Sur Empire over large parts of North India and introduced many lasting reforms. The empire was short-lived, however, as Humayun soon reconquered the lost ground. So Babur did not rule for a very long time. He died in 1530, and after his death, his son Humayun became the next Mughal ruler. But becoming the emperor was not easy for Humayun. Humayun struggled to hold the empire together. This means that he found it difficult to control and protect the Mughal empire. There were many challenges and his rule became unstable. When a ruler becomes weak, what usually happens? Other powerful leaders try to take advantage of the situation. That's exactly what happened here. A powerful Afghan leader named Sher Suri saw this opportunity and he challenged Humayun and captured large parts of northern India. After defeating Humayun, Sher Suri established the Sur Empire. Although the Sur Empire lasted only for a short time, Sher Suri became famous because he introduced many important reforms. Reforms are changes made to improve the administration and the way a kingdom is governed. However, the Sur Empire did not last long. After some time, Humayun returned, defeated the Sur rulers and regained the territories he had lost. Before this happened, Himu, a skilled military commander and chief minister, that is Wazir, under one of the last Suri rulers, captured Delhi and ruled it briefly under the royal name of Hemchandra Vikramaditya. Though enjoying some military successes, he was injured on the battlefield, the second battle of Panipat, when confronted by Babur's grandson Akbar. Captured, Himu was brought to Akbar, who had him beheaded. Akbar soon reclaimed Delhi for the Mughals. So, before Humayun could fully regain the Mughal empire, another important ruler appeared. His name was Himu, also known as Himu. Himu was a very skilled military commander. This means he was excellent at leading armies and planning battles. He also served as the chief minister, called the Wazir, under one of the last rulers of the Sur Empire. As the Sur Empire became weak, Himu took charge. With his military skills, he captured Delhi. After capturing Delhi, he ruled for a short time. He even took the royal title Hemchandra Vikramaditya. By taking this royal name, Himu declared himself the ruler. And Himu enjoyed some military successes. This means he won several battles and became a powerful leader. But his rule did not last for long. Soon, Himu had to face Akbar, who was Babur's grandson and the new Mughal ruler. The two armies fought in the second battle of Panipat. During the battle, Himu was seriously injured, and because of his injury, he could no longer lead his army effectively. He was captured by the Mughal forces and brought before Akbar. And Akbar had Himu beheaded, which means he was executed by cutting off his head. After Himu's defeat, Akbar took back Delhi and the Mughals regained control of the city. And this victory helped restore and strengthen Mughal rule in northern India. Akbar, declared emperor at the age of 13 upon his father Humayun's accidental death, Akbar set out to bring the entire subcontinent under Mughal control. His reign was a blend of brutality and tolerance shaped by ambition and strategy. So, after Himu was defeated, the Mughal empire became secure once again. Now, let's meet one of the greatest Mughal rulers, Akbar. Akbar became the Mughal emperor at the age of just 13. How did such a young boy become an emperor? His father, Humayun, died in an accident. After his father's accidental death, 13-year-old Akbar was declared the new emperor. Of course, ruling such a large empire at such a young age was not easy. As Akbar grew older, he had a clear goal. He wanted to bring the entire Indian subcontinent under Mughal control. In other words, he wanted to expand the Mughal Empire and unite as much of the subcontinent as possible under his rule. His reign was a blend of brutality and tolerance, shaped by ambition and strategy. Let's understand these words. Brutality means being harsh and using force, especially during wars and conquest. Tolerance means respecting and accepting people of different religions, cultures, and beliefs. Ambition means having a strong desire to achieve something great. Akbar wanted to build a vast and powerful empire. Strategy means careful planning to achieve a goal, especially in battles and administration. So, Akbar's rule had both sides. While he could be strict and ruthless during wars to expand his empire, he also showed tolerance towards people of different religions and communities while governing. This combination of military strength, careful planning, and tolerance helped Akbar become one of the most successful Mughal emperors in Indian history. What is Jauhar? When invading Turkic or Mughal armies conquered a territory, they often took the women as slaves or abused them. There are historical examples of Rajput women jumping into mass fires to avoid being captured and enslaved. This Jauhar was considered a heroic act of final resistance and a means of preserving one's honor. Thus, when Akbar finally broke into the Chittorgarh fort, hundreds of Rajput women, led by their queens and noble women, committed Jauhar. So, before we continue, let's understand an important term mentioned here, Jauhar. In medieval times, when Turkic or Mughal armies captured a kingdom, they often took women as slaves or abused them. Now, imagine a fort that has been surrounded by the enemy for months. The defenders know that they cannot win the battle anymore. They also know what might happen if the enemy enters the fort. To avoid being captured, enslaved, or abused, some Rajput women chose to give up their own lives by jumping into a large fire. This act was called Jauhar. For the Rajputs, Jauhar was considered a heroic act of final resistance. They believed it was a way of protecting their honor instead of falling into the hands of the enemy. Now, let's connect this to what happened at Chittorgarh fort. After more than 5 months of fighting, Akbar's army finally broke through the fort's walls. Realizing that the fort had fallen, hundreds of Rajput women, led by their queens and noble women, committed Jauhar. In early conquest, following many of his predecessors' examples, he showed no mercy at the Fort Ch2 or Chittorgarh in Rajasthan, which he besieged for more than 5 months in the face of determined resistance from the Rajput soldiers. They inflicted heavy losses on the Mughal army, but the fort finally breached, dying fighting in large numbers, while hundreds of women committed Jauhar. See box. So, although Akbar is remembered for his later policy of tolerance, his early military campaigns were very different. Like many rulers before him, Akbar believed that conquering strong forts was necessary to expand his empire. One of his most famous campaigns was against the fort of Chittor or Chittorgarh fort in present-day Rajasthan. Akbar's army surrounded the fort and laid siege to it for more than 5 months. The siege means surrounding a fort or city, cutting off its supplies and preventing anyone from entering or leaving until it surrenders. But did the Rajputs surrender? No. The Rajput soldiers fought with great courage and determination. Even though Akbar had a powerful army, the Rajputs inflicted heavy losses on the Mughal army. Inflicted heavy losses means they killed or injured many Mughal soldiers and caused serious damage to Akbar's army. However, after more than 5 months, Akbar's army finally breached the fort. The breach means breaking through the fort's walls or defenses and entering it. Even after the fort was entered, many Rajput soldiers continued fighting until they lost their lives instead of surrendering. At the same time, hundreds of Rajput women committed Jauhar. Akbar ordered the massacre of some 30,000 civilians, and the surviving women and children were enslaved. Akbar was 25 at that time, and he sent a message of victory which read, "We have succeeded in occupying a number of forts and towns belonging to the infidels and have established Islam there. With the help of our bloodthirsty sword, we have erased the signs of infidelity from their minds and have destroyed temples in those places and also all over Hindustan." So, after Akbar captured Chittorgarh fort, the fighting did not end there. After winning the battle, Akbar ordered the massacre of about 30,000 civilians. A massacre means the killing of a large number of unarmed people, and the women and children who survived were enslaved. This means they were captured and forced to live as slaves. At that time, Akbar was only 24 years old. After this victory, Akbar sent a victory message describing what had happened. In his message, he said that he had captured many forts and towns from those he called infidels. Here, infidels was a term used at that time for people who followed a different religion. He also said that he had established Islam in those places. When Akbar wrote, "With the help of our bloodthirsty sword," he was describing the use of military force to achieve victory. He further claimed that they had removed the signs of infidelity and destroyed temples in those places and in other parts of Hindustan. This victory message shows how Akbar himself described this conquest. It reflects the language he used to celebrate his military success during this early phase of his reign. Akbar followed his predecessors in this thought of his. A monarch should be ever intent on conquest, otherwise his enemies rise in arms against him. As his empire grew, period 2.16, he increasingly used political strategies to stabilize it. He entered into marriage alliances with princesses of neighboring kingdoms, welcomed Rajput and regional leaders into his court, abolished the Jizya, and promoted the doctrine of Sulh-i-kul, literally peace with all or tolerance of all faiths. So we just learned that Akbar's early conquests were very harsh. He believed that a ruler had to keep expanding his empire. In fact, Akbar himself believed a monarch should always be ready to conquer new territories. Otherwise, his enemies will become stronger and attack him. A monarch means a king or an emperor. So Akbar believed that constant conquest was necessary to keep an empire safe and powerful. As Akbar won more and more territories, his empire became very large. But here is an important question. Can a huge empire be ruled only by fighting wars? No. Once the empire became larger, Akbar realized that he also needed good political strategies to keep it united and peaceful. So, instead of depending only on wars, he started taking several important steps. Akbar married princesses from neighboring kingdoms, especially Rajput kingdoms. These marriages helped build friendly relationships instead of creating more enemies. Then, Akbar welcomed Rajput rulers and other regional leaders into his court. Instead of treating them as enemies, he gave many of them important positions in his administration. This helped him gain their trust and support. Then, he abolished the Jizya. It was a tax that non-Muslims had to pay under some earlier rulers. By removing this tax, Akbar tried to treat people of different religions more equally. Akbar also promoted the idea of Sulh-i-kul. Sulh-i-kul literally means peace with all. It means showing tolerance and respect towards people of all religions and faiths, instead of favoring only one religion. This became one of the most important principles of Akbar's rule. Through interfaith dialogues, appointment of Hindu officials in high positions, and other bold reforms, Akbar expanded and stabilized his empire, even gaining the support of many Rajput rulers. His court historian and biographer Abul Fazl recorded him as stating, "Formerly, I persecuted men into conformity with my faith and deemed it Islam. As I grew in knowledge, I was overwhelmed with shame. Not being a Muslim myself, it was unmeet, that is, inappropriate, to force others to become such. What constancy is to be expected from proselytes, that is, converted people on compulsion?" So, Akbar did not stop with just introducing new policies. He also worked hard to bring people of different religions and communities together. One of the ways he did this was by holding interfaith dialogues. Interfaith dialogues are discussions between people belonging to different religions. During these discussions, they shared their beliefs, asked questions, and learned from one another. And Akbar also appointed many Hindu officials to important positions in his administration. This showed that he chose capable people to help govern the empire regardless of their religion. Along with these and other bold reforms, Akbar was able to expand his empire and keep it stable. These policies also won the trust and support of many Rajput rulers who became his allies instead of his enemies. Akbar's court historian and biographer Abul Fazl recorded Akbar's own words. A court historian is a person who writes about the events and achievements of a ruler during his reign. A biographer is someone who writes the story of another person's life. And according to Abul Fazl, Akbar said, "Earlier, I forced people to follow my religion because I thought that was the right thing to do. But as I gained more knowledge, I realized that I was wrong and felt ashamed." And Akbar then explained that no one should be forced to change their religion. He also asked an important question: if someone changes their religion only because they are forced to, will that belief be genuine and lasting? His answer was no. Akbar believed that faith should come from a person's own choice, not from fear or pressure. These words show how Akbar's thinking changed over time. In his earlier years, he followed the practices of some earlier rulers, but later he believed that people of different religions should be respected and allowed to follow their own faith freely. His long reign lasted almost 50 years, 1556 to his death in 1605. While its middle period was relatively peaceful, the final 15 years involved fresh military campaigns in Kashmir, Sindh, Deccan, and Afghanistan. So Akbar ruled the Mughal Empire for a very long time. His reign lasted for almost 50 years from 1556 to 1605. Ruling such a huge empire for nearly 5 decades was a remarkable achievement. During the middle years of his reign, the empire was relatively peaceful. Relatively peaceful means that compared to the earlier years, there were fewer major wars and Akbar could focus more on governing and strengthening the empire. But this peaceful period did not last till the end of his reign. During the last 15 years of his life, Akbar once again led new military campaigns. A military campaign is a planned series of battles fought to capture or control a region. These campaigns took place in Kashmir, Sindh, Deccan, and Afghanistan. Akbar wanted to expand the Mughal Empire further and maintain control over these important regions. So, although Akbar is remembered for his administrative reforms and religious tolerance, his reign also included several military campaigns, especially during its final years. Figure 2.17, painting showing Akbar in his court receiving scholars, including 2 Jesuits dressed in black. So in this painting, you can see Emperor Akbar sitting in his royal court. And you can also see that many people from different backgrounds are gathered around him. This is not an ordinary meeting. Akbar has invited scholars and religious leaders to discuss different ideas and beliefs. Look at the 2 men dressed in black robes. They are Jesuits. Jesuits were Christian priests and scholars who came from Europe. Akbar invited them to his court because he wanted to learn about Christianity and discuss religious ideas with them. You can also see scholars wearing different types of clothes, showing that they came from different religions and regions. This painting supports what we just learned about interfaith dialogues. Instead of listening to only one religion, Akbar encouraged discussions among people of different faiths. Figure 2.16, the Mughals and the rise of regional powers at different periods. So this map shows how the Mughal Empire expanded over time and also how some important regional powers rose later. Here, the region with horizontal lines represents the Mughal Empire under Akbar in 1605, the year he died. You can see that during Akbar's reign, the Mughal Empire had already spread across a large part of northern and central India. Important cities like Delhi, Agra, Lahore, Patna, Surat were under Mughal control. And this vertical region represents the expansion of the Mughal Empire under Aurangzeb in 1700. Notice how the empire stretched much farther south into the Deccan region. This means that after Akbar, later Mughal rulers, especially Aurangzeb, expanded the empire even more. The light orange region is the Rajput territories. The dark orange region in the northeast is the Ahom kingdom. The blue region in the northwest is the Sikh Empire. Think about it. Why do you think Akbar employed different strategies to expand his empire while the earlier rulers of Delhi relied mostly on military might? So, why did Akbar use different strategies while many earlier rulers of Delhi mainly depended on military power? The reason is simple. The earlier rulers of Delhi mostly tried to expand and control their kingdoms through wars and military strength. But when Akbar's empire became very large, he realized that winning battles alone was not enough. Think about it. Can such a huge empire remain united if people are always fighting against the ruler? No. Akbar understood that he also needed the trust and cooperation of the people and local rulers. So, along with military conquest, he adopted political strategies such as marriage alliances with neighboring kingdoms, appointing Rajput and Hindu officials to important positions, abolishing the Jizya tax, and promoting Sulh-i-kul, that is peace with all, and encouraging religious tolerance. These policies helped him gain the support of many Rajput rulers, reduce opposition, and keep his vast empire stable for a long time. Let's explore. Compare the maps and figures 2.3, 2.12 and 2.16. What differences do you notice and what is the reshaping that has occurred? Now we need to compare these three maps. First map, figure 2.3, Delhi Sultanate. In this map, the Delhi Sultanate was the major power in northern India. Although the Tughlaq Empire had expanded over a vast area, by the time of the Lodi dynasty, its territory had become much smaller. At the same time, powerful kingdoms like the Hoysalas and the Eastern Ganga ruled parts of southern and eastern India. Figure 2.12, regional kingdoms rise. The Delhi Sultanate is no longer the dominant power. Instead, new regional kingdoms have become powerful. The Vijayanagara Empire ruled much of South India. The Bahmani Sultanate controlled most of the Deccan, and the Gajapati kingdom became powerful in the east. This shows that political power had shifted from one large empire to several regional kingdoms. Figure 2.16, Mughal Empire. Another major change has taken place. The Mughal Empire under Akbar once again united a large part of the Indian subcontinent under one ruler. Later, under Aurangzeb, the empire expanded even further into the Deccan. However, the map also shows that regional powers such as the Rajputs, Ahoms and Sikhs remained important. So, the political map continued to change instead of remaining under a single ruler forever. So, what is the meaning of reshaping here? The reshaping means that the boundaries of kingdoms and empires kept changing over time. The Delhi Sultanate first expanded and later declined. As it weakened, regional kingdoms like Vijayanagara, Bahmani and Gajapati became powerful. Later, the Mughal Empire united much of the subcontinent under one rule. Alongside the Mughals, regional powers also rose, changing India's political boundaries again. So, the reshaping refers to the continuous rise, expansion, decline, and replacement of kingdoms and empires which changed the political boundaries of India over time. Despite being illiterate, Akbar became keen to explore Persian and Indian text and showed great interest in classical Indian thought and often invited scholars to his court. Figure 2.17. He established a house of translation at Fatehpur Sikri, where he had major Sanskrit texts translated into Persian, including the Mahabharata, Razamnama in Persian, or the Book of War, the Ramayana, with 176 beautiful miniature paintings, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Panchatantra. So Akbar had another interesting quality. Even though he could not read or write, he had a great love for knowledge and learning. In other words, Akbar was illiterate, but he was not uneducated in his thinking. He was always eager to learn from others. He became very interested in Persian literature as well as ancient Indian texts. He also wanted to understand classical Indian thought. Classical Indian thought means the ideas, philosophy, literature, and wisdom found in ancient Indian texts. To learn more, Akbar often invited scholars to his court. These scholars came from different backgrounds and discussed literature, religion, philosophy, and many other subjects with them. But Akbar didn't stop there. He established a house of translation at Fatehpur Sikri. A house of translation was a special place where scholars translated books from one language into another. Akbar wanted people who knew Persian to also understand the great works written in Sanskrit. So he got many important Sanskrit texts translated into Persian. Some of the most famous books translated were the Mahabharata, which was translated into Persian and called the Razamnama, meaning Book of War. The Ramayana, which was translated along with 176 beautiful miniature paintings to illustrate the story, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Panchatantra, the famous collection of moral stories. This translation helped spread Indian knowledge, literature, and culture to many more people, especially those who could read Persian but not Sanskrit. This shows that Akbar respected and encouraged learning from different cultures and traditions. Akbar's son Jahangir shared with his father a love for art and architecture and tried to expand the empire into the Deccan. His son Shah Jahan fought several rebellions and is best remembered as the builder of the Taj Mahal at Agra. The Taj Mahal is even today recognized as one of the great architectural marvels of the world. This period formed the peak of an immense flowering of art and architecture, which included the building of Humayun's tomb in Delhi and the Red Forts in Delhi and Agra. Other classical arts and music of life also flourished during this period, as also remarkable works of calligraphy and miniature painting. So, after Akbar's death in 1605, his son Jahangir became the next Mughal emperor. Like his father, Jahangir loved art and architecture. He encouraged artists and painters, and many beautiful miniature paintings were created during his reign. Jahangir also wanted to expand the Mughal Empire further. So, he tried to bring the Deccan region under Mughal control. The Deccan refers to the large plateau region in southern India. However, conquering this region was not easy because several powerful kingdoms were already established there. After Jahangir, his son Shah Jahan became the Mughal emperor. During Shah Jahan's reign, some rebellions took place and he had to fight them to maintain control over the empire. But today, Shah Jahan is remembered mainly for something else. He built the Taj Mahal at Agra. The Taj Mahal is considered one of the greatest architectural wonders in the world. Even today, millions of people visit it because of its beautiful design and fine craftsmanship. In fact, the period of Akbar, Jahangir and Shah Jahan is often regarded as the golden age of Mughal art and architecture. Many magnificent buildings were constructed during this time, including Humayun's tomb in Delhi, the Red Fort in Delhi, the Red Fort in Agra, and of course the Taj Mahal in Agra. This period was not only famous for its buildings but also for classical music, other classical arts, beautiful calligraphy, that is, the art of decorative handwriting, and miniature paintings, that is, small and highly detailed paintings also flourished during this time. The Mughal period was important not only because of its powerful rulers but also because it made lasting contributions to India's art, architecture, music, painting and literature. Figure 2.18, the five-storied Panch Mahal at Fatehpur Sikri, a city built by Akbar near present-day Agra. So this is the Panch Mahal, a beautiful building located in Fatehpur Sikri, a city built by Emperor Akbar near present-day Agra. It has 5 stories, which is why it is called Panch Mahal. The word Panch means 5. You can also see that each upper floor becomes smaller than the one below it. This gives the building a step-like appearance. Another interesting feature is the large number of pillars and open spaces. Akbar built Fatehpur Sikri not only as a royal city but also as an important center of administration, learning, art and culture. Figure 2.19, a miniature painting illustrating the Persian translation of the Ramayana and depicting the well-known episode of Rama chasing the golden deer. So this painting shows a famous episode from the Ramayana. You can see Lord Rama holding a bow and arrow. In front of him is the golden deer which he is chasing. According to the Ramayana, the golden deer was not an ordinary deer. Although this painting shows only the moment when Rama is chasing the golden deer, it is actually the beginning of one of the most important events in the Ramayana. And this miniature painting was made to illustrate the Persian translation of the Ramayana. It shows that the translated book was not only written in Persian but was also beautifully decorated with paintings. So with this, we have completed the part 3 of the chapter Reshaping India's Political Map. I hope you found it easy to understand. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. We will see you again in our next video. Bye bye.